Hello and welcome back to SwitchWatch. I'm James Amero and this is our eShop bargain series where we help you cut through the junk and get to the diamonds worth picking up. We release this video every Sunday, so if you enjoy this then you might want to consider subscribing, and as a thank you, when we get to 50,000 subscribers we're giving away a Switch Lite and Zelda Link's Awakening. Now let's jump in and take a look at the best bargains this week. Beating its way to my pick of the week, Mortal Kombat is a fantastic series that's been around since 1992. That said, it's had some blips along the way. MK11 brings the series right back to prominence, full of great gameplay and gory, crushing blows. It holds to a solid 60 frames per second in exchange for some visual downgrades on the Switch, but still looks gorgeous. The story mode is thoroughly engrossing and there are plenty of modes to get stuck into, but most importantly, the controls feel great and combat is fluid. It's a satisfying and rewarding fighter worthy of the Mortal Kombat name. On sale with 40% off makes this a bargain. It's not on sale in the UK or in Europe, but as the Switch is region free, you can pick this up from the US store regardless of your location. Juan, Jordan, what are your picks this week?
James, there's one game that stood out to me this week, and that was Rive Ultimate Edition, reduced from £13.49 to £4.58. That's a massive 66% off in the UK eShop. I reviewed this one a year ago, and this still puts most games that are released on the eShop today to shame. At £4.58, it's an absolute steal. It's a sci-fi twin-stick shooter. It does combine exploration, platforming, it's fast-paced, and super smooth, running at 60 frames per second. If you want a balls hard shooter on the Nintendo Switch and you haven't got this in your collection, then do me a favor, download this one today. Don't delay. James, ladies and gentlemen, Jordan, see you next week.
What's up guys, Jordan here with my pick of the week. This time I'm going indie for my choice. A toy are very well known and highly regarded in the indie community, and the game that really made things take off for them was Mutant Muds. Challenging, well designed, and a back to basicness about it. That means it's a solid option, only enhanced by the fact that this Switch version has both the main games and an extra puzzle game in one sweet little collection. It was a decent enough price when it originally launched at £10.99 in the UK, but now with 90% off at an unmissable £1.09, it's a no-brainer. Sadly, it's not on sale in the US right now, but it has been in the past and I'm sure it will again in the future. Don't miss out when it does. Anyways, that's my pick of the week. Looking forward to seeing what you guys are picking up in the comments below.
Thanks guys, and there you have our picks of the week, but of course there are plenty of deals to be had. The Raiden series began life 25 years ago in arcades, and Raiden 5, a vertical shooter, has found its way onto the Switch in the form of a director's cut. The game's visuals are brilliant and it features a solid soundtrack. Instead of a single hit life mechanic like most shooters, you have a shield bar. The result is that the game is more accessible to a larger audience. Pros will be able to turn this feature off, but it's a nice way to appeal to more players. The director's cut introduces new levels, a dubbed voiceover, and brings back local co-op, which is always a blast. The only downside here is that there is no ability to play in tape mode because of the info displayed on the sides of the screen, which is a missed opportunity on the Switch. Nevertheless, an accomplished classic that's been polished up nicely and is now on sale. Back when I reviewed Cosmic Star Heroine, I was seriously impressed with this one, and I don't think it's got the love that it deserves. It's a clever JRPG with fantastic systems and a great style about it. I love the sci-fi futuristic setting, especially in the cutscenes. It also features a solid soundtrack and hours of gameplay. If you didn't take a look at this one the first time around, now with 70% off, it's a strong contender. I definitely urge you to consider this one. You can check out our review by clicking up at the top right hand side and checking that out before you make that purchase. Starting life out as a mobile title, Kid Tripp boils down 2D platforming to its bare essentials. Your player is on the run and you need to time your jumps as well as throw rocks through this short game's 20 levels. The port is excellent and it's right at home on the handheld system. The pixel artwork stands out amongst the hundreds of titles using it these days as particularly good. The whole game will take you little over an hour to complete, so now on sale, it's a fair cost for time ratio. Another title with a similar approach to Kid Tripp in the way that it peels back a genre to its basics, Xeodrifter takes the core principles of a Metroidvania platformer, ensures the gameplay is solid and doesn't look to reinvent the wheel. This game plays a lot like Super Metroid. Its gun enhancing mechanic is a welcome bit of depth in an otherwise peeled back title. Whilst it's enjoyable, there are a lot of repeatable enemies and there aren't a huge number of environments. Simply put, however, this game is fun, and at 90% off you really cannot argue what a bargain. Jordan reviewed Our Hero as our resident shmup specialist. He summarised it by saying it takes you back 30 years, 3 lives, no continues, and solid shooter mechanics that will be enjoyed by those who look back on those titles with fondness. He did, however, caution that it isn't the most accessible and will be frustrating for players looking for a more casual experience. The soundtrack is a particular highlight. The gameplay is a simple affair that takes its cues from classics like Ikaruga. If you are after a tough shmup, then this might be for you. Sniper Elite V2 takes place in World War II and you are tasked with taking out the enemy and drawing the war to a close. This game combines stealth gameplay and sniper simulation as it has done through its history. With V3 being ported to the Switch, V2 is now on sale with a healthy 50% off. This is the remastered version that features improved graphics and irons out some of the bugs present originally. The newer titles are improved but will set you back a fair amount, so you might like to dip your toe in at this lower price point. Juan reviewed it and gave it a solid 7 out of 10. Mushroom Wars 2 fills an RTS-shaped hole on the Nintendo Switch with style. It's a great pick-up-and-play strategy game that has hidden depths, a thriving competitive scene, and works well on the move. It can become rather repetitive and it's not perfect, but it's a solid addition to anyone's Switch lineup. Its controls really work well on the Nintendo Switch, and the action is fast-paced. What I didn't like about it was the price, but at 50% off, it's a lot more palatable. Saturday Morning RPG is a quirky JRPG that is inspired by Saturday morning cartoons from yesteryear, hence the title. It looks terrible in a nostalgic, memory lane way and is full of evil plots and high school bullies. It's not so much a deep RPG as a tale with RPG systems, one to have a laugh along the way. At this price you can enjoy it on a Saturday morning with a few hours to kill. Akane is one of the simplest games on the Switch. You slash enemies and if you get hit once you die, yet it's addictive. You just want to get a higher score and there's something fluid about hitting these enemies when you get into the groove and of course frustrating when you keep dying early on. There are some awesome moves and a few unlockables to discover along the way, but it really is a simple game that takes place on one screen. Its style is fantastic, reminding me of animes like Akira, and at this price it's a short-lived but addictive title. Manaspark is an excellent dungeon crawler that's very addictive. When it first came out, it was plagued by some issues, and to be fair to the developer, they jumped on it really quickly and got those fixed. It's accomplished and randomised and worth looking at, especially for this price. It's a steal at 80% off. Shovel Knight Spectre of Torment is a standalone campaign from the much-loved Shovel Knight series. It features Spectre Knight, one of the enemies from the original game, and this one is a prequel, so if you want to get more into the series, this is definitely one worth looking at. As with everything Shovel Knight, it looks and plays great. Ghost 1.0 is a Metroidvania title that features fantastic controls. With so many Metroidvanias on the Nintendo Switch, and some of them are so good, it's hard to compete. There is so much to like about Ghost 1.0 that it's easy to recommend to anyone who likes exploring, platforming and shooting laser guns up in a space station. There are some small flaws, but nothing that would kill your enjoyment of this game. If you have around 15 hours to spare and like Metroidvania games, then I certainly would recommend adding this to your collection now that it's 50% off. Tesla First Lovecraft is an addictive twin-stick shooter which will ram more and more enemies down your throat until you learn to survive. For me, there is nothing more fun than blasting hordes of enemy creatures away and varying perks and weapons. It's by no means perfect, but I will take a game like this most days of the week on my Switch for a bit of mindless action where the campaign is satisfying and the survival mode with online leaderboards is enough to keep me coming back over and over again. Everybody needs a game like this on their Switch and in their lives, especially when it's on sale. This is a horror game that uses what you can't see to build tension. It expertly builds an atmosphere through its wonderful use of sound and visuals, with the paintings themselves being a real star of the show. While the gameplay leaves little to be desired in that there could have been more for the player to do, by design this is a walking simulator for you to experience a very good horror story which will keep you glued until the credits roll. If you are a horror fan and want something a little different, then this is a worthwhile game experience to add to your collection, but if you're searching for more involving gameplay or scare easy, then best to look elsewhere. The developers have effectively taken Snake, yes the old mobile phone classic, given it steroids, music and some dodgy thrusting hips, and voila, you have Conga Master Party. Overall we found this to be a really fun party game that can be enjoyed by those of all ages. The single player campaign is not the best, but for one playthrough it is fun. You have to give it to the developers, they have made a game that is very simple and unique here and done a good job of adding enough to make it a fun experience. Bold Boy is a horror puzzle adventure. You play as Bold Boy in his gruesome journey, and gruesome it is. The cartoony styling and gloomy darkness let them get away with dismemberment and giant poo. This is a really pleasant indie title that has lots of great puzzles. It won't take you too long to complete, but for less than £1 you just can't go wrong. And there you have it folks, that's this week's picks, lots of bargains to be had. Let us know down below which one catches your eye, or if you've experienced of playing some of these games. We'll be back next Sunday with the next episode in this series, so be sure to subscribe if you did enjoy this one. And look out for Jordan's physical release roundup coming out on Monday. I'm James Amero here at SwitchWatch, take care and I'll see you again soon.